This book's from Marvel. It's Spider-Man Beginnings and it's been personalised for Oliver, but it could be personalised for you. Oliver was on holiday in New York City, USA. While walking around the city and looking up at the skyscrapers, Oliver imagined what it would be like to swing from building to building and began to daydream about being told a story by somebody who could do just that. Hi, I'm your friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. That kid back there is Peter Parker. That's also me. See, before I became Spider-Man, I was a normal, everyday high school kid. Nobody looked twice at me. I thought nothing special would ever happen to me. But one day, while I was at a lab, a radioactive spider bit me and changed my life forever. I found I could lift 10-ton trucks. I could stick to walls. I had a spidey sense that warned me of danger. My love of science helped me construct my own web shooters, which allowed me to swing from building to building. They also came in handy when capturing bad guys. One lesson I learned early on was to always catch the bad guys. One I let go ended up robbing and killing my Uncle Ben. Oliver felt sad about Peter's Uncle Ben. It was a hard lesson to learn, but it was one that shaped Peter the most. Peter went on to tell his story as the daydream continued. Every day seems to bring something new. I never know when someone will need a hero, and I never really get a day off. Not that I asked for one, just some of the many reasons I became Spider-Man. Then there's bad guys, like the Green Goblin. You never know when or where they'll come out to cause trouble, and I'll have to stop them. A home run swing, thought Oliver. With the goblins struck out, Oliver thought it was time for Spider-Man to grab some spider sunscreen and bug spray and head to the beach. He needed a break. But when Spider-Man arrived at the beach, there was more trouble. Oliver could see that a little boy had fallen off some rocks. I leapt across the sand and caught the falling boy just in time. Don't worry, big guy, I said to him. Your friendly lifeguard Spider-Man is here. Then I saw the moving sand. There was only one guy I knew who could do that kind of thing. Sandman. And I thought the beach was a baddie-free zone. The villain beach is down that way, I told him. Behind bars, remember? Then, using the boy's bucket, seawater and a little webbing, I gave Sandman a nice new look before the police came. A sandcastle. I thanked the boy for his bucket. You could make a great hero one day, I told him, just before he sneezed. Gee, thanks, kid. Yuck, thought Oliver. The next morning, I felt awful. Sandman's usually not that hard to fight. I wondered if I'd got some sand in my throat. It was so scratchy. But then I realised, Oliver realised too, Spider-Man had caught the boy's cold. Seriously, I thought, Spider-Man catching a bug? That should not be allowed. Oliver thought Spider-Man would spend the day in bed, but soon realised that being a hero means that whenever there's trouble, he will help stop it. Despite wanting to curl up under the covers, I had to check out an explosion in the city. When I did, I discovered one of my many adversaries was responsible. But gimme a rhino over a bug any day. Bam! Ha! Is that the best you got? Rhino said with a grin on his face. Oliver felt a little scared of the rhino, but Spider-Man had more to give. Just warming up, Hornhead, I told him as he flew through the air, out cold. I was freezing. This cold had me shaking so much I could barely... Look out, Spider-Man! Oliver yelled, imagining that Spider-Man was suddenly attacked again by another of his enemies. This time it was Kraven. As he threw web-like nets to catch me, didn't he hear? Webs are my thing. He should find his own toys. I used my own web nets to capture him. I had to remind myself to keep my stuffy head in the game. I was seriously slipping. Oliver knew Spider-Man would have his cold for a while. Spidey knew it too. Okay, 2 days later and my cold wasn't going anywhere. Kinda like me as I fought Vulture high over the city. But I needed to wrap it up fast as I was feeling a little sick. Next stop, the birdcage, I told Vulture as I directed him towards the police station. Oliver imagined Spider-Man having to fight off yet another of his enemies, as well as his cold. Even Aunt May's miracle chicken soup wouldn't help. I should have been home in bed when suddenly I was attacked by Electro. Why hadn't my spider senses warned me he was coming? I needed to bring out the big guns. Or a big water hose. Dry off soon, Oliver thought. There's a cold going round. I needed to try more of Aunt May's soup and go to bed. Sandman, Green Goblin, Rhino, Craven and Electro. I had definitely earned a little bit of rest. Despite almost 20 hours of sleep, Oliver knew Spidey would still be too ill to go to school. But Peter being Peter, he went anyway. When I got to school, MJ was angry with me and said I should be in bed resting. I told her that I'm fine and that it's just a little cold, nothing to worry about. Despite the sniffles and the coughs, I just couldn't shake it off. Then Flash Thompson arrived. Don't worry about puny Parker and his whittle sniffles, Mary Jane. Spider-Man will always save the day. Besides, I'm sure not even that wimp's cold could hurt a bug. Ha! On his sickest day, Peter Parker is more like Spider-Man than a bully like you could ever be, Flash Thompson, MJ told him. Oliver agreed with her. If only Mary Jane knew I was carrying the real Spider-Man costume right there in my backpack. Oliver thought Peter should go and see the school doctor. The school doc told me I was contagious. I hoped I gave the flu to all the bad guys too. There's no way Aunt May would let me out of her sight once she heard about this. There was nothing to do but grab my backpack and go home. Where was my backpack? Spidey, Oliver thought. What has 8 arms and is headed this way? Dr. Octopus! When I saw the television news, I knew there was no time to find my costume. Luckily, there was more than one Spider-Man at Midtown High that day, and he was distracted by the TV. When I swung into action, I felt worse than ever, and I was no match for Doc Ock. Maybe I should have tried the sneeze attack instead of the sneak attack. Interesting new costume, web slinger. I guess being a hero doesn't pay much, he taunted. You should ask for a raise yourself, Doc. You could use a haircut, I replied. Oliver laughed at Spider-Man's quip, but also knew he was in danger. Enough jokes. Time to see what sort of haircut Spider-Man has under his mask, Dr. Octopus yelled at me. Both Oliver and Spider-Man knew that facing Dr. Octopus when Peter was ill was a mistake. I was putting everyone in danger, especially Mary Jane. Before I could do anything, Doc Ock had caught me and pulled off my mask. Is that Peter Parker? He gloated. But he didn't know I was the real Spider-Man. A child? What kind of trick is this? He was angrier than ever and now desperate to find me. Well, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, come out wherever you are and fight like a man, Doc Ock shouted as he crashed through the school wall. Stop hiding behind school kids. Oliver knew this was bad. Everyone was in danger. I wasn't hiding behind anyone, but I had found my backpack in the rubble left by Doc Ock. I didn't know how much better the right clothes would make me, but I heard Mary Jane yelling for help. Go and save her, Oliver shouted. Doc was still looking for me. Come out, itsy bitsy spider. But now I was more than ready for him. Oliver cheered as Spider-Man pulled MJ to safety. Sure, I may have caught the flu and maybe I should have taken a sick day, but that's Peter Parker. Sometimes even a hero has to find the strength inside to keep going, to know he isn't powerless and to remember he has the responsibility to protect the ones he loves. Nothing can get in the way. Oliver knew that Dr. Octopus didn't stand a chance. The spider is mightier than the bug, or in this case, the octopus. Oliver liked that Doc Ock was taken away by the police, but Mary Jane was worried about Peter Parker. Nobody knew where he was, even Flash was worried. I put my costume back in my backpack and turned up as Peter Parker once more, safe and well. I guess I missed the real action, I told them. Spider-Man showed up, you know, the real one, and he saved the day. I went to give Flash back his mask, but he told me to keep it and said MJ was right. You were more Spider-Man than I could be today. MJ was angry with me for trying to fight Doc Ock. What were you thinking, she said. Fighting bugs, I answered. At home, Aunt May had seen what had happened on the news. If your Uncle Ben was still with us, she told me, I think he would be proud of your courage to protect your classmates and your friends. But he's not here, and I say you find a safer way, you hear me? Oliver agreed with Aunt May. Now you rest up and get your strength back, young man, especially if you ever get it into your mind to play hero again. You have no idea. Achoo!